Dustin Poirier is the UFC top lightweight. He's already fought Gaethje for the title and would have gotten a second chance if it weren't for the Conor Trilogy. But the path to the top wasn't perfect. Dustin grew up a troubled teenager who constantly fought, skipped classes, and dropped out of school at 15. The future UFC fighter weighed 90 pounds, worked at McDonald's, and lived a life in bad company. But changed, thanks to his girlfriend in boxing. Hello fighters with MMA Iron Channel. In this video, I will talk about Dustin Poirier's shocking fights. But before the start of this video, forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like so that the whole world will know about this great fighter. Dustin Poirier was born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana. High humidity, many swamps, and arid subtropical summers. Such charms of nature from childhood surrounded the future UFC champion. At school, Poirier met his future wife Jolie. The young people started dating at the age of 14. 6 years later, on September 4, 2009, the couple officially registered their relationship. Dustin was 20 years old at the time of his marriage. That is, we have a pretty beautiful story about a woman who went with her husband the way from ridiculous fees at semi-amateur tournaments to the UFC championship belt. Early school years, the sweltering streets of Lafayette. Around that time, little Dustin started fighting without any purpose or meaning. At some point, the boy realized that he was just enjoying the process itself. Besides, he was good at it. At least if Dustin's mother, Jerfali Chasen, is to be believed. In the documentary Fightville, where one of the main characters is 20-year-old Poirier, the woman told how her son from an early age daily checked himself for rigidity. We got acquainted with Dustin Poirier's past and now, let's remember his fights in which he shocked the world of MMA. On April 14, 2018, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje met in the main event of UFC on Fox 29 in the Octagon. Prior to this fight, the Diamond was on a 2-game winning streak, defeating Jim Miller and former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis, while Highlight approached the fight after the first defeat of his career to Eddie Alvarez. Both fighters were first of all drummers, and therefore fans of mixed martial arts were waiting for a bright exchange in the rack. And it must be said that their expectations were more than justified. The fight turned out to be a non-stop feast of violence. Gaethje beat Poirier's leg throughout the fight, while the Diamond was more successful in boxing. Both lightweights had good chances. By the third round, the fighters were exhausted from the high tempo of the fight, but continued to go forward and deliver heavy blows to the roar of the jubilant crowd. Gaethje accidentally poked his finger in Poirier's eye several times, which put their fight in danger of stopping prematurely. However, Dustin let the doctors know that he was fine, courageously advancing to the fourth round, in which everything ended thanks to the powerful left cross of Diamond, which greatly shook Gaethje. Highlight was unable to recover, and Herb Dean was forced to step between the fighters, signaling the end of this spectacular confrontation. UFC 236 ended in Atlanta, in the main event of which featherweight champion Max Holloway and the third number of the lightweight rating Dustin Poirier met. Fighters fought for the interim lightweight title, and the victory in this fight brought the winner to a fight with unbeaten champion Gaethje Nurmagomedov. As expected, the fighters began the fight with an exchange in the rack, where Poirier was the best. He was more accurate, threw a lot of heavy punches, and even made the blessed one lean to the net. In the second round, Poirier continued to put pressure on Max and almost knocked the champion down. But Holloway found the strength to stay on his feet and rebuff the Diamond. In the third and fourth rounds, it was noticeable that the continuous exchange exhausted Poirier. He was breathing heavily, increasingly missing blows, and looking for rest in the clinch. He managed to take a takedown of Max, but he did not manage to keep the Hawaiian on the canvas for a long time. Then, midway through the fourth round, Dustin delivered a brutal knee punch that opened a deep clipping on Max's left eyebrow. Blood began to flood the champion's face and eyes, but he continued to walk and deliver many blows. At the end of the fourth round, Max, battling Dustin in a viscous clinch, attempted an anaconda and might have been successful, but the diamond was saved by the gong. The final round was held with varying success for both fighters. The contenders exchanged in the rack and threw rare kicks. At the last minute of the round, Poirier pinned Max to the net and held him there for a long time, not letting him do anything. But in the final seconds of the round, the fighters gave the fans a brutal exchange. At the end of the fight, Dustin Poirier celebrated the victory by unanimous decision of the judges, becoming the interim champion in the lightweight division.
You said the inactivity just caught up to you. I mean, is it physical? Is it a timing? Is it what was the cost of the inactivity?
It's the whole shebang, do you know what I mean? But I have no excuses here. It was a phenomenal performance by Dustin. And that's it, you know. I don't know what to say. I'm going to go back and going to chill out and I'll watch the full fight and get a better grasp on it. But the leg was compromised and I was rushing the shots a little bit and, you know, I didn't adjust. And that's that, you know, it's a bitter pill to swallow. And I don't even know whether I'm that upset. I don't know. I don't know what to say, you know.
The first round was taken by Conor, who was much more accurate at the distance. Poirier took on too much damage, although he had previously successfully taken a takedown, but McGregor stood up from the ground. The continuation of the fight also went well for Conor until the accumulated effect of Dustin's low kicks affected. The American punched his opponent's legs throughout the time with single shots, and this affected McGregor in the middle of the second round. Poirier turned on the #1 job immediately after Conor lost mobility due to a broken leg. When Conor was left without moving, he turned into a vulnerable target, and immediately Dustin connected the serial work on his hands, accentuating the powerful left from the usual stand. Poirier shook Conor with a sweeping left hook. The Irishman got into the wheelhouse, in which Dustin initially looked much better. The main moment for Poirier was to change the stance. As soon as Conor began to go to the right to get out from under the pressure of the left-hander, Dustin stood up to the right. This allowed him to get an uppercut with an already charged distant hand. In the end, it was this blow that dropped McGregor. On July 29, 2018, another UFC fight night tournament was held in Calgary, the main event of which was the confrontation between the former champion of the UFC lightweight division, American Eddie Alvarez, and his compatriot Dustin Poirier. The fighters converge in the center of the octagon. Both fighters probe each other with cautious blows, a series of punches from Alvarez, mostly on Poirier's defense. The fighters are very focused. Poirier makes excellent use of his legs, both in attacks and in movement along the octagon. Two from Alvarez on the torso of Poirier. Poirier looks a little preferable to his opponent. A good counterattack from Poirier. Alvarez responds with a series of punches. Eddie attacks, but the blows come by. End of the first round. Alvarez looks more tired than his opponent. The fighters converge and immediately attempt a low kick from Eddie. The former lightweight champion once again attempts to get to his feet, but his opponent reacts well to these actions and is freed from this onslaught. Middle kick by Poirier. Poirier wraps his arms around Alvarez's head and punches it twice with his knee. Dustin then reconnects his hands to the attack. Alvarez suffers a hail of blows in a deft defense. At one point, Eddie tries to release a retaliatory blow, but in response he receives many strong blows from Poirier, from which he falls to the floor. The referee stops the fight. On the night of July 11, 2021, the main tournament of the summer UFC 264 will be held at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. In the main fight of the evening, Conor McGregor will try to take revenge from the first number of Dustin Poirier and finish their trilogy in his favor. Acted in his standard stance, wide leg positioning, straight back. Kicks return to his arsenal. Conor often beat low kicks, front kicks to the body from the turn. As for low kicks, McGregor seemed to be trying to repay Dustin with the same coin in the style of hit me low kicks in the second fight. I answered you the same, catch. Conor looked motivated and charged. Speaking of hands, the accuracy was still worse than in his best days. This notorious could not return. It seemed that the reaction is not as good as before. It seems that the last defeat was not in vain, and the Irishman was afraid of certain blows. When McGregor missed the first low kick while in the left-hander, he immediately changed the rack, which he then began to do from time to time. Conor did manage to get in and shake Poirier this time around, even though his hands are the former double champion's main weapon. 15 seconds before the gong, the Diamond stood up from the stalls, informing the referee that Conor was pulling him by the gloves. The remaining small amount of time was spent in the rack. With 13 seconds left, McGregor punched a left low kick, then a front kick into the core. Conor punched the trio. Right, left, did not hit. And when he began to transfer the weight back to the far leg, he immediately collapsed down. If you watch this episode quickly, at first it may seem that the former double champion fell from the blow, but in fact he had a fracture of his left leg in the lower leg area